All right. For me, I don't really succumb to or subscribe to necessarily kind of any one eating pattern. All right. Eat healthy, eat real food, don't overeat anything, drink plenty of fluids, exercise. That's generally kind of my motive or my thinking. I don't There's plenty of research to suggest, diets with anybody are not typically successful. You could do whatever diet you want, and if you don't stick with it, you don't stick with it. You're not going to keep the weight off. Um, some diets are a little bit better than others, but those are for specific things. Usually, the Mediterranean diet, South Beach, the Miami diet, the South Beach diet. Um, those have a tendency to have a little bit better adherence. Mediterranean being the best. All kind of biological markers in the body that we look at for healthiness. Mediterranean is generally the best. But I'm more of kind of this guy here, calorie in and calorie out. So for calories in and calories out, there are a number of items that really kind of go into that concept. There is the concept of energy intake, what's coming in. Okay. Not only is it from foods, but it's from beverages as well. And when it comes from beverages as well, this is the most common thing that is forgotten by most people. If you drink coffee, that's great. That's awesome. That's fine. I don't really care. I drink coffee. But if you drink coffee with heavy cream and some of all those crazy things that they add into it, now you're adding a buttload of calories to it. And it's those calories that people tend to forget. Alcohol has calories. Okay. Some of these fancy coffee drinks have a ton of calories. And it's those calories that generally people don't remember or forget to kind of enter into the calculation. Energy output is just what we do. Okay. Energy output is just what we do. Okay. What do we do? Are we sedentary? Do we sit at a desk all day long? Do we move around at our job? Do we get up and move around during the day? Do we exercise? All of these things go into energy output. And if you do that diet analysis, if you've done it, when you go to do your energy output, your exercise, your activity level, I mean, it's a pretty exhaustive list. There's plenty of things in there. Sitting around, and I think there's a calorie output for getting ready, for doing hair. I mean, there are some for everything. And when I say everything, if you have an imagination and you can think of something, there is an energy output expenditure associated with it. There's plenty of different venues out there on the internet that have all of those things listed. They've been researched and documented, so yada yada. If you have like a Apple Watch or a Fitbit or whatever, it has all of those things kind of calculated into energy output, all of those various different exercise forms. So it's all out there. It's all calculated. You don't have to have any heavy hitting stuff. You just have to know how many hours or how many minutes you did it and your exertion level. And then it calculates it for you from there. So it's pretty easy to figure out your energy output. When it comes to these energy expenditures, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with it. There is total energy expenditure. There is your metabolism. There is your basal metabolic rate, your resting metabolic rate. There's a lot of things that go into this. TEE, total energy expenditure. This is how much energy is needed for everything. Sitting here, watching lecture, sleeping. There's an energy expenditure for that. Okay. Getting up out of the chair and walking across the room. There's an energy expenditure for that. Folding clothes, there's an energy expenditure for that. So total energy expenditure is pretty massive and huge because it looks at literally everything. Everything that goes on inside your body, there's a need of energy for. And that's been calculated depending upon how old you are, how big you are, your sex, and a number of other factors. Basal metabolism, guys, is the minimum calories used, for the body to do very vital physiological activities, right? Now, this is fasting and this is a 12-hour rest. If you don't lay down for 12 hours, you can't figure out basal metabolic rate, okay? Which is how we measure that. How do we measure basal metabolic rate? Sleep for 12 hours, don't eat, so go to bed early for most of you probably. Get up out of bed, and then you have this done to you. Done in a hospital setting, done in a medical setting. The difficult thing with that, as soon as that alarm goes off, that's a sympathetic event. That's a fight or flight response by the body, and it wakes you up. You burn more calories when you get excited or startled like that, scared. So as soon as you wake up for that alarm, and as soon as you get in the car to start driving around, your metabolism starts to go up a little bit. So BMR is not necessarily something that's %100 accurate, I guess is the best way to say. Resting metabolic rate kind of looks a little bit more kind of at a more normal situation, at least for me. Because me laying down for bed, I mean, that's only a few hours of my day. I'm usually sitting up, grading papers or walking around, exercising, doing stuff. So for me, resting metabolic rate is kind of the one that I think of when I think of metabolic rate, your metabolism. I look at resting metabolic rate. And this is kind of one that's more accurately figured out. Body's rate of energy use just after a few hours of resting and eating. So, this one, as you can kind of see there, is a little bit higher, but that's because you're a little bit more active. When you're laying down, you're not active. You're not doing anything. So it's going to be super, 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 super slow. It's going to be more indicative of bare necessity physiological stuff. Digesting food that you ate at dinner. Repairing the neurons within the brain over the course of the day. Basic physiological needs. Resting metabolic rate just looks at a normal individual. Rest a few hours, get up and move around. Rest a few hours, get up and move around. Okay. For all intents and purposes, they are basically the same damn thing. I'm sorry, they are. I don't know why the book feels the need to really parse them out individually, but they are basically the same. 10% is not a whole hell of a lot of difference for most individuals. When it comes to this resting or basal metabolic rate, there are a number of different factors, as you can see here, that can increase it or decrease it. Factors that can affect. If you have a lower basal metabolic rate, okay, so I'm just going to go over here first, all right? You are shorter. Shorter individuals don't have as much body surface area, don't have as much body because of that short height. So they don't have a huge need to maintain all of that real estate compared to somebody who's really tall. The taller you are, the more real estate that the body has to maintain. So that's going to increase your basal metabolic rate. As you get older, every decade of life, your basal metabolic rate diminishes. Thyroid hormone. Thyroid hormone affects metabolism immensely. So if you don't have enough thyroid hormone, that decreases your basal metabolic rate. If for some reason you are starving, or if you're on a very restrictive, very, very, very low calorie diet, that can decrease your basal metabolic rate. I'll get into that concept a little bit later as well. Okay. Factors that increase it, well, I mean, the opposite of insufficient is excess. The opposite of less body surface area or short height is more body surface area, tall height. But there's also other things, guys. I mean, fever. Fever increases metabolism, increases your body's ability to have to make things, to fight off things. So body temperature, like you see with increase in fevers. Periods of growth. You have a much higher basal metabolic rate when you're pregnant compared to when you're not pregnant at the same age. If you're breastfeeding, that should probably be up there as well. If you're breastfeeding, you have a higher basal metabolic rate. You're creating food for a creature. If you're an infant, if you're a child, adolescent especially, very intense periods of growth. Obviously, you're going to have a greater metabolic demand. Oh, there's lactation right there. There's lactation right there. Post-exercise. And again, the type of exercise you do, we're finding the type of exercise you do can actually keep that basal metabolic rate higher for a much longer period of time. Stress. Stress does a lot of different things. It increases inflammation within the body, which is increasing metabolic rate, increasing temperature. And then drugs. Caffeine, amphetamines, there's a bunch of various different stimulants that you can put in that category there that can increase basal metabolic rate. Those are just caffeine. You can buy that one. Buying, cocaine over the counter is probably a little bit difficult for you to do. How do we calculate this? Here it is. Depends on if you're a woman or depends on you're a man. Again, it has to go into that lean body mass. We have a little bit more lean body mass. There's a little bit more lean body mass. Okay. This is the simplest way to do it. All right. I may give you an example of this on an exam and have you calculate basal metabolic rate. Okay. Just divide your weight by 2.2 and there you go. 0.9 kilograms, take 0.9 kilocalories per kilogram of body weight times kilograms per body weight. I'm sorry, divided by kilograms of body weight, right there. And that's how you figure it out. We have a number of calculators, guys, that does this online. Your software for nutrition, for the diet analysis project, it's already built in. You never really have to calculate and figure it out. But here's a couple clickable links right here. They all give slight variations of them. One's to calculator.net, that's BMR. Then the TDEE calculator. And then there's one that is another BMR calculator. It's from Many Tools. They're all pretty great and fantastic. They're great at, again, estimating your BMR. That's kind of the most important aspect of those three. The great thing about these websites here that I have for you to go click and play around, it takes into effect some kind of mathematical equation. There's like three major equations that the BMR calculators kind of integrate with one another. You can kind of see this is the most commonly used one right here. So if I was going to ask anyone, I'd ask what would be the Harris-Benedict equation. This is the most common one that's used on all of those websites that I have links for there. They incorporate age, height, weight. These are all the things that they ask you. Why are they asking how old are you are? How tall are you? Well, it goes into that body mass. Okay. If you're, 20 and you're, 5'10", your BMR is going to be all, pretty damn high. And another thing too, with all these BMR calculators here, guys, this basal metabolic rate calculators, you will be amazed at how many calories it says that you should be eating. That's probably the most shocking thing from individuals every semester. Especially if you're really honest with your activity level. Usually that's the thing people fudge a little bit on. They may go up a little bit higher than what they really should. And you will be amazed that, you'll have to, be consuming like 3,300 calories, which is a lot if you've ever eaten 3,300 calories the way. Can you guys hear me? I'm getting a bunch of notifications on my computer here that.
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. All right. Because I got a bunch of notifications that says my microphone may be out. Okay. But I'm glad you can hear me. Okay. Thank you. All right. So let's keep going here. So here on these next couple slides, okay, we're going to look at some reasons why you would need more energy. Okay. Why would you need more energy? I think it's pretty damn obvious. If you do more, you're going to need more physical activity. This one is the one that varies the most because this is the one that varies so dang much from one individual to the next. And I have just an idea here, sitting, you burn 2 calories just sitting here sitting. Hot damn, just sitting here, you can burn a couple calories per minute. Okay, that's awesome. But you can see if I'm bicycling at 15 miles per hour, if I'm running at 6 miles per hour, I'm losing a heck of a lot more per minute. If I'm weight training or walking, I'm losing a heck of a lot more per minute. So the different type of exercise you do at the different type of intensity level that you perform it at varies how much greater the need for food consumption will be, because this is going to increase your energy output. And if you're looking to lose weight, then obviously you're not going to eat more and you do more activity. If you're looking to gain weight, you're going to eat a hell of a lot more food. The other thing that varies quite a bit is this concept of NEAT. NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is a fancy way to say, do you fidget? Do you move around a lot? If you are a fidgeter, then you are burning a hell of a lot more calories because you are a heck of a lot more active than somebody who does not fidget. I will never forget, I was a smartass, shocking. But I'll never forget my second grade teacher telling me to stop fidgeting. And I had read this article in the newspaper talking about kids who fidgeted in class burn more calories. So I told my second grade teacher this. That did not endear me to my second grade teacher. Another thing that can affect basal metabolic rate and your total energy expenditure is this concept of TIF. And TIF is the thermic effect of food. Your body requires energy to process food. Shocking, right? We've talked about how the body breaks it all down all damn semester, it feels like, and how it utilizes it, incorporates it, and transports it around for use. This all has a cost. And that's what the thermic effect of food is. Now, not all foods are the same. Proteins have a much higher thermic effect of food than anything else. Protein and then carbohydrates and then fats. Okay. So if you consume more protein compared to carbs, then there is a greater burn associated with that. For this one, you not only look at kind of what type of food you're eating, but you look at beverages as well. Again, the most common thing forgotten by individuals. They're trying to figure out their caloric intake is fluids, beverages. Okay. So if you add basal metabolic rate and you add physical activity and then you add thermic effect of food, you get your total energy needs for the day. And again, if you go to calculators, let me see if I can. Let me pull some of these up here to kind of show you the differences between. Here are these three calculators. Okay. Here are these three calculators, and here it tells you kind of which one it uses. All right. You can use metrics. Yeah. Okay. How you could calculate it, and there's my BMR. Okay. There's how many calories says I need in a day. I don't necessarily eat that, but that's okay. Let's go over here. Let's do the same thing over here. See, this one's a little bit different. This one's a hell of a lot different. Okay. I don't heavy exercise. Let's do moderate exercise, sure. I don't know how much body fat I have. Tells you kind of how it's calculated down here. The thermic effect of food, very small, usually 5%, but this one has it at 10%. Physical activity and basal metabolic rate. 2,725, 2,584. So you can see there's a slight little difference here. Okay. Here you can kind of see ideal weight. If I was 155, I would feel like a weird, thin, creepy alien. It would not be good. But see, I mean, there's my BMI score. Isn't that BS? Good Lord. Why am I so weird? But the cool thing about this website, guys, is that it has, it gives you kind of all these various different ideal weights with, again, there's a lot of formulas that go into it. And they kind of give you your range right there. This one's pretty cool because it gives you various different breakdowns of macronutrients. If you want to cut, you want to bulk, so if you want to maintain. So I mean that's pretty good. That's a pretty good. This is a great website. Kind of gives you a great kind of feel for what your macro should be if you're a macro counter. Here let's do it here. Male 5'10", 190. Let's calculate. Okay, 1,758. What was this one? 2,000. This one, 2,500. Why is this one so low? So it gives you kind of the explanation for some of these various different equations that they use, which is different from the equations that are used on the other websites, which is probably why this one's kind of so interesting. But here, so there's 2,576. So there I am. There's my activity level. Okay. I exercise 6 days a week, but whatever. So 2,576. Yeah. So pretty damn close, actually. When I adjust for my activity level. So these are some great kind of sites here. They give some good information here. That's why I included these for you guys here. It kind of gets into some of the reasons as to why they utilize what they do. So go around, play around with them. So it will be useful and helpful for you.